Well, everyone, the Samsung Galaxy S23 has just officially came out, so let's go and take a look at it against the iPhone 14 and see which specific phone you should go and pick up. Now, if you want to pick up either one of these devices, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside, you can definitely tell that both these devices look very, very good, but maybe one looks better than the other one. The iPhone 14 came out a few months ago. Actually been a lot longer. It doesn't even feel like it's been that long, to be honest. The iPhone 14 came out like September, early October last year, and it's a pretty good looking phone. 6.1 inch, Super Retina XDR OLED display. It's a 60 hertz panel. I don't know why I have so many apps open. It's a 60 hertz panel that looks pretty good. You do have the notch up top, a little bit of bezel around the display, but it's not anything crazy, nothing we haven't seen before yet. And I do feel like this year Apple's going to make some pretty big improvements with the display, hopefully. But still, to this day, they haven't really changed it even since the iPhone 10s too much, but it's still a good looking display for sure. Now, with the Galaxy S23, which doesn't cost really that much more different than the iPhone 14, you're getting that same 6.1 inch display, but there's a few things to keep in mind. One, there's less bezel overall on this specific panel. Two, there's a hole punch display, so it's not a notch, it is just a hole punch, which looks so much better than the notch on the iPhone 14. But three, it's a 120 hertz panel on this specific device, which is actually pretty massive. So getting a phone like this, you are going to be getting a better looking display overall than on something like the iPhone 14. So that is probably something to keep in mind. Another very interesting thing with the iPhone 14 and with the Galaxy S23 is that the sides are somewhat similar. There's not like a crazy big difference here. In both of them, the iPhone 14 is more of a flat side, but the S23 has been making moves at becoming more of like a flat side, and I actually do kind of like the S23 side, but the iPhone 14, it does feel a little bit better, I think. Actually, I don't really know. They both look pretty good at the top. USB-C port on the bottom of the S23, Lightning port on the bottom of the iPhone 14. On the back, we are getting this kind of different type of setup. So on both, the cameras do protrude out. So it's not like a flat back on either one of these, but you can tell on the Galaxy S23, their new approach is to not have like a camera module, which is actually very interesting. If you look at the previous phone, the Galaxy S22, that one had a camera module right there. With the S23, that's not really the case, which I actually do think this looks pretty good. iPhone 14, you're still getting a really good camera here. So obviously a dual camera versus the triple camera here. You do get this slight like camera cutout thing here, but it's really not that big of a deal. And I actually do like both for sure. So when it comes down to the outside, I mean, some other big features I would say for the most part, the iPhone 14, you're getting IP certification, you're getting like a MagSafe, dual charging thing here. The Samsung Galaxy S23 also has IP certification. I don't know why I didn't say both of them had it, but you are getting wireless charging and reverse wireless charging on the S23, where the iPhone 14 only has wireless charging. So I do feel like Apple needs to make some improvements there. I would probably say that there are more flagship features still on the Galaxy S23 over the iPhone 14 from what I can tell. So just from that alone, I mean, that's kind of some big stuff to keep in mind on the outside. However, in the software and the longevity portion, the iPhone 14 is probably going to be giving you a better job here. I feel like the iPhone 14 is probably going to be lasting longer than the Galaxy S23, but it is not even going to be that big of a difference. Both these phones are going to be lasting for long periods of time. So if you get this phone today, you're probably not even going to think about upgrading these phones until like 4 years from now anyway. So, and honestly, if you get these phones today, you're probably going to want to upgrade 2 or 3 years from now, and both these phones are still going to be supported by then. So you're really not missing out on too much from that standpoint alone. So, and in terms of that, that kind of covers it up there. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 14 had that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 gigabytes of RAM, where the Samsung Galaxy S23 has that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside of it with 8 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background except for the Galaxy S23. Now they are all cleared out. So let's get into it. Let's do phone calls. 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Let's do camera. 3, 2, 1. Okay, not that big of a difference. Let's go and take a photo on both. Let's go and open up that photo. I would probably say the iPhone 14 may have been a little bit tiny bit faster there, but not that big of a difference. Let's open up their app stores, which the Play Store is going to open up very, very fast. 3, 2, 1. The Google Play Store is just like so much more of an optimized application than the Apple App Store. I don't really know why. It seems like there's more stuff going on with the Google Play Store than with the Apple App Store, but it is a very fast application. Now, some things that I'm noticing scrolling is that both these phones are smooth. you are getting that 120 Hz panel here, but there seems to be more glitching going on, I would say, on the S23. You can see that when I'm scrolling through. It seems like actually they're both doing pretty good when I'm scrolling up. When I was scrolling down, there definitely was some glitching going on with the S23, which is totally okay. That kind of stuff is bound to happen. In terms of some of these third-party applications, we do have Facebook right here. Let's open that up. 3, 2, 1. Okay, very similar. Not a big difference. We do have Netflix. Let's try that one out. 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 14 was faster. The Samsung Galaxy S23 was slightly behind. Let's try tool. Let's do stack. 3, 2, 1. The S23 was actually slightly faster there. Let's do tempo run. 2, 3, 2, 1. I know there's going to be a pop-up here that I'm going to have to click out of. I guess not. Yep, there is. So let me go and click here. We'll just go and let that one breathe. We'll just say that they were the same. Let's not think this one was the big difference here. But if we go and get into some gameplay here, let's go and get into it and see if there's some glitching going on in either one of these. The iPhone 14 kind of glitched up a little bit in the beginning with, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And going through, there's probably not going to be that big of a difference. So let's go and hop into this one. Let's do Snapchat. I am logged in here, so we'll skip that. Let's go ahead and do Twitter. 3, 2, 1. Okay, kind of the same thing. We can try Genshin Impact. 3, 2, 1. So this is a pretty big game. We'll just go and get into until we get into like the main panel. But I don't think there could be some differences. Let's see. I will say the whites on the iPhone 14 do look better than the whites on the Galaxy S23. And you can see the S23 got into it maybe slightly faster than the iPhone 14. Subway Surfers 3, 2, 1. And what I can definitely tell you is that kind of how I've seen the last couple Android phones for the last couple of years, there's not really too many crazy differences in terms of speed. They've been kind of keeping up with each other for the last few years. So I will tell you from these two, maybe the iPhone 14 is still a little bit smoother, but I think the Galaxy S23 is maybe a faster phone. I feel like there's more capability on an Android because you can install a lot of emulators, and that's kind of what I test the most. Now moving on to the camera side, like I said, we have the triple camera setup on the Galaxy S23. iPhone 14 has that dual camera setup. Now both these cameras are great. You can do 4K at 60 on the back and the front of both these phones, but the Galaxy S23 can do 8K capability here, which is amazing. The iPhone 14 does not have that type of capability. Now I will say the iPhone 14 is also missing that telephoto lens, which can be a little weird for some people. Now personally for me, the iPhone 14 camera is actually pretty good. Everything for the most part that I've done with this type of lens has done the job, and I haven't really felt the need to complain too much about this type of camera. Now there are definitely things that I could complain about, that I do complain about all the time, but I will say in this time, it's a pretty solid camera. I don't really have too many things to complain about here. You have video mode, portrait mode, but the big thing here is that applications like Snapchat and TikTok are very optimized for this type of phone. So for this type of camera, you're going to be getting a very solid optimization for those type of applications. With the Galaxy S23 on the other hand, it's not that this is a really, really good camera, but when it comes down to those other applications, they're not always as optimized, but that's totally okay. This type of camera is very, very good. You are getting that 0.6x zoom, but you're getting 30x zoom on this thing, which a lot of it is digital, but that is a very good camera here. You do have more capability on this type of camera than the iPhone 14. I mean, look at how many more modes you're getting here. You're getting Pro mode. You're getting a ton of options here on the Galaxy S23 that you're not getting on the iPhone 14. So this is a very, very good camera that you're getting here, and that's kind of the one thing I've always kind of just remembered. This is a very solid camera. So when it kind of comes down to this whole entire video, what I'll definitely tell you is this is a very good phone that Samsung made, I think. There's still a few things I need to test, a few more camera comparisons, a few more speed comparisons, and a few more battery comparisons, but I definitely do think the Galaxy S23 is a very good phone. I do think the iPhone 14 is very similar to it as well. I mean, you are missing a telephoto lens and reverse wireless charging and stuff, but I don't think if you own an iPhone 14 or a Galaxy S23, you would be jealous of either one. I own both these, and I just think they're both good phones. I don't really think there's one that's substantially better than the other one. But I still feel like the Samsung Galaxy S23s and the S20s in general do a much better job at showcasing their flagship features more than iPhones have been doing in the last few years. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.